And a good Friday evening, folks. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandajis joining you here again. We've got some increased activity, storms filling in on radar, and a few of which are strong to severe. Let's start off with the big picture, though, and look at how much lightning. This is a 30-minute count, and we're hovering in between 1,500 and 1,600 strikes here over the last 30 minutes, and it's pretty much spread out from just south of Richmond, looping to the southwest and southeast, all the way down to North Carolina, and then another huge cell over inland Dare County right now. But I want to start out with all the severe thunderstorm warnings that have been kind of been unleashed from the city of Petersburg and now spreading their way eastwards, including portions of our area. We've got two warnings that have been issued. We'll start off here with the one to the north. This is for the city of Williamsburg, Charles City, James City, and Surrey County. Until 8:45. So we've got 30 minutes left on that warning there. And that's for some wind gusts. We've talked about the hazard, main hazard being some damaging wind gusts, and we could see 60 mile per hour gusts there. Just to the southeast, we've got another warning. Same time frame expires at 8:45. Isle of Wight and Surrey for once again 60 mile per hour wind gusts. In these areas, of course, extremely heavy rainfall, frequent lightning here. These are highly electrified storms, due in main part from the high humidity that we've been experiencing for the past several weeks. All that's doing is creating more electrical charges in the clouds, and they're being discharged as lightning bolts. So we're getting a lot of lightning here across most of the area. Very heavy rainfall. Some of these rainfall rates are in excess of 1 inch to 2 inches per hour in Surrey County as you're getting close to the James River there. Seeing some rainfall rates here over 2 inches per hour. And that's also why we have that flash flooding risk for the remainder of this evening. Flood watch is up for the majority of the area, including where these warnings currently are. Now, I want to focus in again on Petersburg because we go back the last hour or so. We saw this cell. Thankfully, it's not stationary because that would have been big problems, but it did prompt a flash flood warning again for the city of Petersburg. Why I'm focused on there is because we had a flash flood emergency there earlier this week as the Lieutenant Run Creek there rose rapidly and caused some swift water rescues, cars to be swept away, so it caused some big problems there. And I've been checking on that same gauge out at Lieutenant Run Creek at Bolingbrook at Petersburg. And I haven't seen any rise in it, which is good. But even though this cell certainly dropped a lot of rain, and we go back and look at the last hour of rainfall totals here. Again, it's a little bit lagged, but you see just to the west of Petersburg, we picked up between 1 inch and 1.5 inches in the last hour. And around Petersburg, around 3/4 of an inch. And the flash flood criteria, since it's so saturated there, is actually much lower. The bar is lowered. I think the flash flood criteria was like 1/2 inch in an hour. So that's why they did issue that flash flood warning, because we did exceed that in that particular area. But elsewhere, we've got the warnings that are up in our area, northern Surrey County, northern Isle of Wight, including Smithfield. As you approach the James River, that cell is moving. Let's see what speed these are moving at, actually. The one that's going to impact Williamsburg is moving northeast at 20, and the one south of it is moving, where is it? East at 25. So they're not moving terribly slow, so that's good. But the rainfall rates are certainly high enough that we're probably going to see at least some standing water on some spots. All right, we've got some areas here indicated by radar that could be having some gusty winds with them. One here just to the northwest of the city of Surrey itself. Radar indicating some 40 mile per hour wind gusts here, between 30 and 40, just about to cross the James and head into James City County. Williamsburg right now, just seeing some breezy conditions, nothing too terrible for you yet. Just a little bit of some rain for you as well, but expecting some strong wind gusts there within the next. In fact, let's put a storm track on it. It's moving to the northeast at 20. Williamsburg itself, looking at this impacting you, 8:48. So just outside of the warning window. This warning expires at 8:45. It'll probably be expanded or extended at least in time. First Colony, 8:35. Williamsburg itself, 8:52. Queens Lake, 9:01. Camp Perry, 9:06. And then we'll cross the York and head into Gloucester, if it holds together. Now, trends on this, what I like to do sometimes is kind of hover the radar over this area, an area that I'm watching, and watch the lightning strike count. And what we'll do, we'll talk a little bit, and I'll leave it there, and we'll watch the number. Now, usually if the number, which right now a 30-minute count is over 920, you just saw the refresh there, drop it down in the 80s. So we'll watch this for trends. If it's lowering, that's an indication that we're on a weakening trend. If we're starting to rapidly see that strike count go up, that's a big indicator that the cell is intensifying and hasn't reached maturity yet. So watching this, I'll just keep it up here and we'll check back, but you'll see it every couple of minutes kind of tick backwards and see how much it recovers. That'll give us a judgment of its intensity right now. But certainly the lightning count just in this area it's a strong storm. It's a severe storm, which is why it's got the warning on it right now for Petersburg, areas to the east, including Surrey, northern Isle of Wight, cities like Smithfield, Surrey itself, Williamsburg, all under a severe thunderstorm warning here for 25 more minutes until 8:45. Main hazard, as we've talked about today, if any strong storms were to develop, is going to be damaging wind gusts, and that's primarily driven by the downdrafts. These storms build up, they reach maturity, and then they collapse. They rapidly deteriorate, and then that downdraft shoots out and creates some really strong wind gusts that could reach 55, 60 miles per hour. And on top of that, too, we've got stronger winds aloft. So when you get the heavy rainfall, that works well to transport those gustier winds down to the surface there. So that could be also what we're watching here with these cells that roll on through that area. Paige, do we have a commercial break? Oh, we are in one right now. Is there another one coming up soon? OK, we'll do that one. We're going to join in on the TV side, folks, at 8:27. Covering a commercial break just to give our TV viewers that are watching Jeopardy here in prime time just an update on what's going on with the severe weather situation to our north, in Williamsburg, Isle of Wight, Surrey, James City County here in just about 7 minutes. In the meantime, let's move a little farther south. We've got isolated, or actually scattered, strong storms. All these are sub-severe. Lots of lightning and thunder. Even if I zoom in on this area here, look at the lightning count in 30 minutes, close to 200 strikes. In South Suffolk, crossing the line into Gates County, northeastern North Carolina, we've got some scattered heavy downpours. The movement on these is pretty much east-northeast, okay? So it's going to be pressing in a far southwest Chesapeake here. This cell to the north that's building a little farther north will probably get into downtown Suffolk within the next 30 minutes. Again, it's non-severe, but it does look like it's on the intensification trend. So we may see if this one does intensify enough to get a warning put on it. Keep in mind, we are at sunset, a minute away from sunset at 8:22 tonight. So we're losing the daytime heating element of this. Again, it doesn't just turn off immediately with the setting sun. You have like an hour lag time that there's still enough heat energy to help intensify these storms. But that's likely what we're seeing drive a lot of these cells today, the high heat and high humidity. Then some sea breeze coming on in and helping to create some lift. So we've got that out there. Down in northeastern North Carolina, let's go down into the Outer Banks. Okay, so radar site gets switched up to out of Morehead City because we're a little bit closer there. But just outside of inland Dare County, southwest of there, a large non-severe storm at the moment. It was warned earlier. In fact, I think that was allowed to expire at 8:15. Still, as you see the strike count, over 800 strikes in the last 30 minutes there. There are numerous flood advisories. So notice the difference there. There are flood advisories here. Rainfall rates are still 1 to 2 inches an hour. The difference is these areas didn't get soaked and saturated earlier this week. All of the rain was pretty much in Virginia. We did see some rain here and there, but it wasn't enough to cause really saturated ground. So just flood advisory, still some flooding possibly there. But really seeing the flash flood risk not as high, at least right now. It may get bumped up to a flash flood warning in these areas if that heavy rainfall rates continue. Back over to the north, I just got an update on my watch. What's it saying here? Okay, new severe thunderstorm warning, but it is outside of our area. It's in Charles City. It says they're also, let's see, what did that say? Northern Prince George along the line. Some weak rotation. Okay, let's see if we can spot that. Not seeing really any signs of rotation here. No, I'm not seeing much. Said between. Okay. Surrey, Prince George. It looks like it's this one over here. Possibly some weak rotation. Okay, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what they do with that. But again, outside of our area in Prince George. But look at these numerous. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 severe thunderstorm warnings, all basically from this cluster of thunderstorms. Then again, I'm hovered right over that cell. Notice the strike count. Down about 100 strikes. We're in the 700s now. So, and you know, based on what I've been looking at for short-range models, it did show this cell rapidly weakening after sunset. So this could be the starting of that. Even look at what's going on here in this other cell that's in the North Isle of Wight, Smithfield area. This is definitely weakened a bit as it's moved towards Rushmere and now crossing the James. Even central and southeastern portions of Surrey County, seeing it really weaken there. And we've just got this one that's Prince George, North Sussex, with all the lightning and thunder there. But again, lightning strike count, 30 minutes, 764 at this time. No new warnings out there. All of these are up until 20 more minutes, till 8:45. Still just scattered, widespread storms here, all non-severe. This one here we'll probably have to watch. That's in South Suffolk right now, near Whaley, between Whaley and Pitman Town. Just to the east of Franklin. This is lifting east-northeast. And definitely you can see that blowing up, and it's strengthened over the last hour. So we'll have to watch for that one to possibly have some damaging winds. And I see maybe some small hail associated with that one. But off to the north here. All right, we in a minute or so until the cut? 1 minute out, okay. All right, folks, we're just going to pause for a second, and then we're going to pop in on the television side, and then I'll join you right back over here on 13 News Now Plus. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandajis here with you. I wanted to pop in here on a commercial break and let you know about 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that we have up for our northern areas. It does include the city of Smithfield and Williamsburg, and these are both up for about another 15 or so minutes until 8:45. Not much in the way of impacts yet in Williamsburg, most of which is still on the other side of the James River right now. But we are watching it for the main threat of being some gusty, damaging winds in Williamsburg, maybe up to 60 miles per hour. Just to the south, a separate severe thunderstorm warning for Isle of Wight and Surrey, and that's also for the same threat of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts here. There also was some indication of some small hail with all of these. That is not a primary hazard, though. We also, on top of that, had the extremely heavy rainfall and frequent lightning, all encompassing all of these cells here. A lot of activity, especially to the west, coming out of Petersburg area. 5 separate severe thunderstorm warnings in this bunch here. Now, I also want to leave you here focusing on South Suffolk, because I'm watching this cell here that's just to the southeast of Franklin that is beginning to strengthen, and it may lift into downtown Suffolk here within the next hour. We are streaming on 13 News Now Plus. If you want to join us over there for continuing coverage, if anything changes, I'll pop back over here on the TV side in just a little while. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. All right, folks, we just dipped over to the TV side to do a quick cut in on the air there. And we're back over here on 13 News Now. Plus, again, a check of the strike count over the same area, slowly dropping, 740 strikes now. Definitely looks a little more spread out now. The energy is spread out a little bit more. And, of course, it's used up a lot. We had tons of lightning strikes with this one as it was rolling through Petersburg and even just west of I-95. It was moving through Amelia and Nottoway counties. Just outside of our viewing area. Still have 5 severe thunderstorm warnings up, encompassing the majority of that large cell. Most of these are expiring within the next 15 minutes. The ones in our area for James City County, Surrey, Sussex, and Isle of Wight are expiring at 8:45. So we got another 15-minute lead time on there. This one does include Williamsburg, the city itself. So far, it's just been some light rain, maybe some heavier rain and gustier winds beginning to approach First Colony there. But not seeing much in the way of indications of severe wind gusts. Radar indicating here maybe 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, slightly higher than that in some of the heaviest downpours, dragging down some of that stronger winds from aloft. Down out of Smithfield, looks like you're out of the woods in Smithfield. That's all lifted north and heading over the James River now, but you're still under the warning for 15 more minutes. And as I rounded out the cut-in on TV, I did hone in on this cell here that's now almost due east of the city of Franklin, and this has been on the intensification trend. I want to show you it over the last hour because it pretty much flared up northwest of Reynoldson and is scooting along South Suffolk right now with lots of lightning and thunder and probably some gusty winds as well in there, and even seeing some weak signs of some small hail potentially within there. But that may be one to watch as it moves into South Suffolk, Central Suffolk, and holds together. Could make it into the Deep Creek area, north central portions of Chesapeake as well. Down to the south, seeing that there is now an upgrade here. We talked about this being the flood advisories. They issued those, and then now they're flash flood warnings just outside of our viewing area, just outside. Well, it does include far southwestern inland Dare County for the flash flood warning there. To the north, just watching these severe thunderstorm warnings that are up for Isle of Wight, Surrey, James City, and Sussex over to Prince George, just outside of our viewing area. Main hazard here is going to be for some gusty, damaging winds that may approach 50 to 60 miles per hour here in the short term. Looks like they're expiring the previous warning. So the one that's farther to the west here, the bigger one, that's going to be allowed to expire here. When was that up until? Oh, until 9 p.m. Is that the one they're going to expire, Charles City? Oh, they just did expire it coming out of Petersburg. That's what I'm looking at. So that's no longer in effect. So we've got now 3 separate severe thunderstorm warnings here, just 2 in our area immediately. Actually, the 3, they're all within our area. This one in Williamsburg, 8:45. Another one in Isle of Wight, 8:45. And then this bigger one to the west there for the main cell that has gusts of 60 miles per hour. And that's up for until 9 o'clock tonight. And they were noting that there was some weak rotation outside of our area in Prince George County, but I'm not seeing really anything that's making me too suspicious right now. Also not seeing any indications of any shear. So that's also a good sign. Within this large cell, so within this huge cell, we've got the tiniest near Brandon, Prince George, Charles City, of some small hail. So how big? Pea-sized, if it even makes it to the ground that big. So hail has been a secondary, in fact, probably even less of a secondary threat for this event today. Damaging wind gusts is the main thing here, and the heavy rainfall and the flooding threat as well. Look at the amount of lightning that's showing up on this one. The cell itself, 30-minute count, 230 strikes just in this one. So from Pittman Town, so here's the North Carolina line, south of there, Gates County, north of there, Suffolk. And then you're over to Franklin. Downtown Suffolk is right up here. So that storm, so if you're looking off to the southwest, you got quite the light show in the distance. Strike count is up to 240, so about 500 strikes in an hour from this cell here. Any wind gusts that are approaching severe, I guess an argument could be made that we could be getting 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts in there. But right now, very heavy rainfall. Possibility that this one does go severe here as it drifts. Going over the north side of the Great Dismal Swamp, maybe clipping downtown Suffolk. And then if it holds together, which I don't know, it could go either way, with this now being past sunset, 10 minutes past sunset, we could see this rapidly weaken. But also this area, south side, has been untapped today. All the storms have been north or south of there, so we've got a primed environment still. So even after you turn a burner off when you have a boiling pot of water, the water doesn't go completely calm all of a sudden, right? So think of that with the sun today. That was the burner getting turned on. As we hit early to mid-afternoon, we started to boil that pot of water, which was thunderstorms developing. And then once you turn that burner off, the water's still very hot. You're still getting some bubbles. So that's where that's the point that we're at right now with some of these storms, as we just turned the burner off about 15 minutes ago at sunset around 8:22 this evening. So still some energy out there, still some heat energy from the day being used. These storms are, ingesting it. We're seeing the updrafts take over here, and then eventually the downdrafts will shoot out some gusty winds. Down to the south, just some scattered non-severe storms from Chowan over into Hertford, along the Chowan River. Moving to Perquimans, some scattered downpours there. Pasquotank over to Camden. And then now getting into South Chesapeake, Southwest Chesapeake, near Bear Quarter, over the Great Dismal Swamp, Lake Drummond there. And then we still have these ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings, which they just expired the Surrey and Isle of Wight one. So that's this one right here. That's set to expire at 9 minutes at 8:45, so they will not be extending it as that cell has weakened. We'll see what they do with this one for Williamsburg. It doesn't look, they'll probably extend it to go at least to the York River, maybe into Gloucester as well, for the possibility of some damaging winds there. It looks like we got a little pocket, okay, indicating 40, 45 mile per hour winds within that. Again, it's just a radar indication. It could be higher at the ground. But it's extremely heavy rain. Rainfall rates here between 1 and 2 inches per hour. So that's going to create some ponding on roadways for sure. All right, let me reposition this over that cell and see if we're get a sample of that strike count. Yep, it's going down. I think we're on a weakening trend here, folks. Last check, we were well into the 700 strike count in 30 minutes. Now we're hovering in the mid-600s, so it's ticking down. Even though the lightning count will come down, we're still looking at those heavy rainfall rates of probably between 3/4 of an inch and 1.5 inches per hour. And thankfully, they're moving 20, 25 miles per hour, so it's not a stationary, stalled-out downpour that's just going to create some big-time problems. In fact, talking about the flooding, let me check the gauges again here. Oh, yeah, we did have a big jump. So Lieutenant Run Creek, the one that was in Petersburg, that I've been checking earlier. So it was at 4.8 feet, and it just jumped to 5.56, so almost jumping a foot in 15 minutes. That's interesting. Yeah, so this ob was for 8 o'clock, 4.8, and then 15 minutes later, 5.6, almost a foot jump in 15 minutes. We'll have to monitor that out there for the gauges. The Appomattox River, though, in Petersburg, a little bit of a jump. Nothing terrible, though. At 8 o'clock, it went up from 11.3 to 11.6, so 3 inches up there on the Appomattox. Both of these, by the way, are in the city of Petersburg. Okay, let's see. Don't see any new flash flood warnings. Now, Petersburg is under a flash flood warning, but nothing has been issued out to the east of there. So Surrey, Sussex, James City County, starting to see the heaviest rain now build into Williamsburg. First Colony, getting close to the James River, and now moving northeast. Williamsburg itself, seeing the rain breaking on out there. There could, near First Colony, maybe some winds gusting to 40. A little bit of hail near First Colony. Pea-sized hail at best, if it's not melting on the trip from the cloud down to the ground. But just heavy rainfall here and plenty of lightning and thunder. This warning here is up until 8:45, so we got 6 minutes. And you know what we'll do? We'll stay with it until the expiration. Let me just play. Let me see what's going on in the south here. Still with that cell that's in. Yeah, starting to see some stronger winds. Nothing terribly high though. Still sub-severe. And I don't even think they have put a special weather statement on it. Let's see. Yes, they have. They have put a special weather statement on it for gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So we're on our way to seeing that get warned. So if that does get a warning on it, you're going to see something of a polygon drawn from pretty much where it's located now in southwest Suffolk, probably extending into central Chesapeake, if they do put a warning on it. And it looks like when they put a special weather statement, winds up to 50, you're not far off from getting wind gusts to severe criteria there. So South Suffolk looks like we've got a strengthening thunderstorm that will probably go severe south of downtown here with lightning and thunder and winds being the main hazard here. Right now, could get up to 50. We could see up to 60 mile per hour winds gusts, though, if it does, in fact, get warned, which I would anticipate probably more likely than not that we see it get warned here in just a little while, probably after they allow these storms to the north to expire in 5 minutes or so. So we've got that cell in South Suffolk. Doesn't look like any of these here in Gates, Chowan, Perquimans are strengthening at all. And plus, because the storm to the north is probably robbing a lot of the energy for any of these to the south there to develop. And then we've just got the flash flooding ongoing far southwestern Dare County. Out into the Outer Banks, just residual rain showers for you now after a very wet afternoon. All right, let's just keep a close eye on these areas here and see if we get that warning to pop up here in the short term or not. If so, Paige, just for planning purposes, if we do get a warning in South Suffolk, I'll just look for the next commercial break to do a quick cut in on the TV side, but not pressing at the moment. Just check out the progression of these cells here, playing it out over the last 2 hours. A lot of lightning and thunder. That huge cluster pretty much just south of 64 and sliding to the southeast along it. All of our current alerts, you can see we've got 3 separate severe thunderstorm warnings. And back to the west, where those cells just moved out of, they've left behind standing water. So flash flood warnings are up south of Richmond. Does include the city of Petersburg. And each time I mention it, I'm going to check that gauge. Wait, I guess it updates every 15 minutes. So this is the 8:15 ob, so I think probably at 8:45 it'll bring up the 8:30 observation. So I'll check back there in a minute or two. Haven't seen any expiration notice for the cell in Williamsburg. I'm guessing they will extend this because you can see the cell there definitely has some gusty winds with it. But I tell you what, look at this cluster of winds over Walkers, just outside of here. You see that the yellow shading here? I'm surprised that this part isn't warned. Winds here, I mean, they're getting sampled stronger than what's over the warned area. So that's interesting. Maybe we'll get a warning on that too, here with that northern extent there. But just 2 minutes away from getting at least the southern one canceled. Here we go. Okay, they canceled the severe thunderstorm warning. The bigger one to the west there. And this one here to the south is set to expire in 2 minutes. And let's see, I bet they're getting ready to put a warning on this one here in South Suffolk. So we'll watch that one carefully. Very small hail signature. I've got no shear. I've got some indications of some gusty winds, sure. No couplets or anything like that. So again, it just kind of emphasizes that the main hazard this evening was going to be the gusty winds. And that's what we're seeing pretty much play out, as well as the heavy rainfall threat and the flash flooding threat there. All right. Don't see any update here. Let's see. Nope, nothing. No update there. So let's get a lightning count here. Yeah, now we're in the 400s. So this cell is definitely on its weakening trend. Now, don't get me wrong, in this huge cell, there are definitely some parts that are still probably severe with gusty winds. So you're not going to find the severe wind threat through the entire cell anymore. And it'll be much more isolated. And it's likely confined to the northern area, like up by Walker's. As you get into Charles City, Prince George, seeing the strongest of the winds right now. Probably maybe a little bit of that in Williamsburg over to James City County. But certainly the southern extent, that one in Surrey and Isle of Wight is set to expire here in just a couple seconds. You'll see that kind of disappear. There they go. They just expired, both of them. So no more severe thunderstorm warnings up for the northern half there. Still watching down here to the south. This cluster here, let's see what the lightning strike count is on this. So we're around 300, yeah, upper 200s, 300 strikes in the last hour. We'll give this a couple minutes to see if they put any warning on it. They did issue a special weather statement, so a lot of times that precedes a warning. Not all the time, but it indicates that the storm is already strong, and they put some criteria on it. This one was saying gusts up to 50 miles per hour, and it's not a far stretch to say we could see gusts 55 to 60, which would make it a severe thunderstorm. But this is in South Suffolk. Right now, look, pretty much all of South Suffolk. And then cell now moving into southwestern Chesapeake over the Dismal Swamp. And down in the south here, just some flooding concerns, pretty much. But it looks like the severe weather threat has dropped. You know, we'll give it 4 minutes until 8:50, and if they don't put a warning on it, we will go ahead and conclude this stream and just kind of monitor it off on the side here in case it does go severe, and then we'll pop back in if need be. But looks like we're on a general weakening trend, at least on the northern tier of that cell that came out of Petersburg. In fact, every time I say Petersburg, it reminds me to go check it. Okay, let's see if we've jumped up higher. Still on the 8:15. I don't know how often they update. It looks like it's every 15 minutes, but they haven't put in an 8:30 observation or an 8:45 yet. The creek, by the way, the body of water I'm checking is out in Petersburg. This is Lieutenant Run Creek at Bowling Brook. For rising levels, because that's the same area that had the flash flood emergency just earlier this week. Let's see, what are they issuing here? So the special weather statement they put out for that cell in South Suffolk, there's also a time window that it's up for, just like a warning. This one's only up for another 12 minutes, so they would make their decision on upgrading it to a warning within 12 minutes. Sometimes I've seen it expire and then they throw the warning on it, so there's no rhyme or reason. And both the cells that were expired warnings to the north have been replaced by special weather statements. So it can precede a warning, and then it can be what's left behind after a storm weakens below severe criteria, just alerting folks that it is still a strong thunderstorm. And those are still both calling for winds maybe up to 50 miles per hour, which is interesting. We didn't see any radar tags for even close to that, but that's still a possibility here. Check that gauge again. Still nothing. Okay. All right. And you can watch this over the last 2 hours here. It's predominantly been like a southwest, it's been a northwest to southeast push. But notice there's also storms out ahead of that line that's coming out of 95 that's kind of driving northeast. So we're getting almost a little bit of a convergence across Southside. We'll probably see more downpours and thunderstorms, mostly probably strong, non-severe, for the next couple of hours here. And modeling was pretty good. It was off on the timing. They were definitely supposed to come in a little bit earlier than where they are now. But they were showing them lingering right up through around 10, 11 midnight tonight before really dropping on off. The severity probabilities are much lower now, but still on the stronger side with lots of lightning and thunder and the potential of some gusty winds. But all right, folks, we're not seeing any new warnings getting pushed out here yet. But certainly some strong thunderstorms moving in, mostly in our western areas now, slowly pushing east. So you're likely seeing the lightning from the distant thunderstorms. You're hearing some thunder. Eventually, you'll get some downpours. I think pretty much everybody will see at least some amount of rain. Will everybody see a flooding chance anymore? Probably not. I think that's mostly going to be up to the north, northwest there with that larger cluster of heavier rain. In fact, I hear rain on top of our studios here, which is right there in that cell. So we're getting a cell already in downtown Norfolk. But at this time, no severe thunderstorm warnings at 8:50 tonight. So I will go ahead and conclude this stream, folks. If the rain persists enough that we see some flash flooding, we'll be back on here on 13 News Now Plus. But for now, we will round out this stream and send you back on over to 13 News Now Plus. We'll see you later. Have a great rest of your Friday.